Hi, I'm Lisa, and today I'm back with another yin yoga practice. So grab your props, possibly a strap, a block, maybe a pillow or a blanket or towel or bolster, anything that helps you feel a little bit more comfortable as we go into these longer timed poses to help release the muscles and the connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, and to help kind of stretch out our fascia, which runs all throughout our body and in and out between the muscles. All right, so for today's yin yoga practice, we're going to start with a breath technique, pranayama, called Chandra Vedana. It's about Chandra meaning the moon. The moon is associated with yin energy. It's calm, it's quiet, it's cool, it's a little bit more passive. And so that's what we're going for when we move into these poses, to gently ease into them in a calmer manner. So we use our breath and time to help us go deeper, kind of systematically. And at the same time, we're always playing our edge, deciding if we should stay where we are, given the signals that our body is sending us, or if we should go maybe a little bit deeper, or maybe if we should just back off a little bit if something's feeling a little too intense. So it's always important in a yin practice to keep your attention to your body and to your breath. All right, so with Chandra Vedana, we're taking in yin energy, this calm, cooling energy, and we're releasing yang energy, this kind of heating, more energized kind of, more of an exerting, stronger energy. So we're trying to bring more of our yin energy into our bodies. We do this with our two fingers, our thumb and our fourth finger. We'll be breathing in through our left nostril, which is our yin energy side, where our yin energy runs. It crosses through and finishes right up here by the third eye. Our yin energy finishes on our left side, our yang energy finishes on the right. So we'll be inhaling through our left, pausing, and then exhaling through our right. Then we'll go ahead and inhale through the left, pause, and exhale through the right. I'll talk you through this. Go ahead and just grab a hand, thumb and forefinger. Just sit up tall before we begin. Start to take a couple of cleansing or clearing breaths, just to kind of wake up the lungs. This is all done through the nose. The mouth is closed. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. Close off your right nostril. Take a long, slow, and full inhale through the left. Pause and hold at the top. And as you're holding, you're switching, closing off the left nostril. Exhale down, long, slow, and complete through the right. You'll switch. Inhale through the left nostril again. Pause and hold. Close off the left. Exhale fully through the right. Feel the belly even pull in as you finish at the end of the exhale. Switch, inhale through the left. And exhale through the right. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. One more time. Inhale on the left. Exhale right. Release your hands and breathe in and out through both nostrils. If you ever like to do this on your own, I suggest doing more repetitions. That was about 4 or 5. I would do double that at least. Take a break and then do it again. Maybe go for a round of 10, pause, just kind of rest and breathe naturally for 30 seconds or a minute, and then do another 10. Okay, so let's go ahead, and we are going to begin our yin practice. Some of these poses are just a little bit of a warming up, waking up the body, transition poses. Other ones are definitely going to be more timed. I'll be using my watch. So let's go ahead and make our way onto all fours for a couple of cat-cows. All right, so with your hands coming down from the shoulders and your knees coming down from your hips, relax the belly. The tailbone will naturally curve up. Draw your shoulders away from your neck. Inhale, and as you do, scoop forward and up, broadening the collarbones, taking the chin and the gaze up. The tailbone moves up higher also. Then exhale, round, pull the belly in towards your chest. Inhale, forward and up. This is your cow. Exhale, chin to your chest, belly's in to your cat. The back is rounded. Once again, inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. All right, before we move on, let's just do a couple of hip circles. So we're kind of warming up the hips and the lower back. We're warming up the wrists, the shoulders, and even the knees. You're just moving in one direction at whatever pace you'd like. And then the next time you come forward, you'll stop and turn the other way. All right, come back to center. You're moving back into your table pose. We're now going to move into our puppy pose. So from here, you're going to start to extend the arms straight out in front of you, palms are down. You're keeping the hips positioned above the knees, and you're opening up in the armpits and the front of the shoulders. Either the chin or the forehead will come to the mat. Breathe and release. Put some space between your teeth as you're here. Softening the face, releasing the jaw, especially if the chin is into the mat. Now, for some of you, you can either use a towel that's folded up or your block. And if the head doesn't easily come to the floor, you can rest your forehead on your block. Okay? So once again, make the pose work for you. Use props, modify wherever you need to. And if a pose ever feels too uncomfortable, release out of the pose. Join us in our next one. Okay, so we've been in this pose for just about a minute. As you're here, see if you can relax or release the armpits down. At any time, if you want to go deeper, if your forehead was in the mat, you can take the chin. If the chin was in the mat and it feels too intense, move back to the forehead. Another modification is if it feels a little too intense, maybe you're putting a little bit of bend in the elbows and just drawing the hands back a little bit so that it's not too pulling. If you want to go deeper, you're releasing forward more with the hands and the arms. Okay, let the breath continue. Try to soften and release around the armpits and the front of the chest. You're almost there. You have 30 more seconds. All right, Gently draw your hands back in. Slowly push up. And if you feel stiffness anywhere, just take a moment, maybe being still, and then when it feels good, you can go ahead and move around a little bit. All right, so I'm going to turn this way. What we're moving into next is a child's pose, and with our child's pose, we're also going to open up for the side of the shoulders and the side of the back here where it meets the shoulder joint. So if you need a prop, say you have some low back or knee issues, you can take a pillow or a bolster and place it behind your knees so that your bottom rests on the bolster. It's lifted up. It puts a little bit less pull on the back and less pressure on the knees. Know that you can do that. If you want to go to a full child's pose, take the knees apart, big toes come together. Once again, you're releasing, extending the arms forward, but this time we're releasing our bottom downward towards our heels. Forehead is in the mat. Let the breath soften. Feel extension and lengthening in the spine as you're here. Now we're going to add a little bit of side stretch. So pick up your head, walk your arms over to the right as far as you can comfortably go. You're going to keep that left arm reaching, and I'm resting the left side of my head on that left arm to help push the left shoulder down more. Then I'm drawing my right hand in closer towards my right knee. From here, push away with the right hand as though you were kind of like doing a push-up. It will kind of sink the head and that left shoulder down more to give you a greater stretch on the left side of the body. Breathing and releasing. Your breath helps take you deeper, especially the exhales. Start to extend the right arm forward. Pick up your head. Walk your hands back to center. Stay here for another full breath in and out. We're letting the spine come back to its neutral position. And then from here, on your next exhale, walk your hands far over to your left. Release the right side of your head on your right arm. Draw your left hand in and push away from the floor with the left arm. You should feel a nice pull all around the right side of the shoulder joint, maybe the side of the back. You may notice too in doing some of the poses today that there are big discrepancies between the left and the right side when we stretch. That's all very natural. As you do more of a yin practice and stretching, you'll see some of these discrepancies kind of dissolve and both sides of the body will be more in balance. All right, pick up your head, walk the arms out and back to center. Then rise up. Bring the knees back together, and maybe you kind of roll the ankles around a little bit. Spread your fingertips. We're just going to make our way into a down dog, kind of releasing the knees And just putting a little bit of stretch in for the back of the body, the back of the legs. Pedal away. All right, settle into a down dog just for another breath. And we're going to make our way back to our knees. Take a moment, if you would like, to put padding underneath your left knee if you're on a firmer surface. You may want to have a block available for yourself too. We're going to go ahead and step our right foot far forward. Take this left hip, draw it forward so both hips are pointed in the same direction as that right foot. Draw the belly in, exhale, release forward and down, pointing out the left toes. And you'll notice too here, my right knee is positioned above my right ankle. The kneecap is centered in line with my second and third toes. Now you can rest your hands on your thigh if you'd like, or if you have a block, you can rest your right hand on your thigh. Your left hand, you're placing the block pretty much beneath the left shoulder. Use these initial breaths to get comfortable, kind of soften and let go of any gripping down this left leg. We're opening up for the left hip flexors right here in the front of the hip. Use your exhales just to find a little bit more movement forward and down. All right, so we're going to go a little deeper. Simply push back and away with the upper body. As you push back and away to whatever level you go, try not to push back and away with the legs also. We want to keep the lower half of the body still descending forward, but just open up for the upper body. That will take you deeper. We're still keeping the right knee positioned around the ankle. Try to avoid letting that knee go forward over the toes. It makes it really kind of puts too much pressure on the right shoulder joint. All right, now from here, inhale your arms up. Your gaze can go forward or up, and keep the breath moving. As you next exhale, twist to your right. The left hand will go onto your right knee. The right hand will either rest behind your back or grab the outside of that left thigh to help peel back and away with that right shoulder. And you're letting your gaze go off in that direction, towards the right shoulder. If you have more opening, you're releasing the shoulders back more, pulling them down. And slowly take your gaze back to center. From here, gently push back and away. Sometimes a little bit of movement feels good, back and forth. Feel free to move into a down dog. If you need to kind of like release the knees or child's pose, hip circles, whatever you'd like. Then after doing that, move your padding to your right knee if you need it. You'll step your left foot forward towards the top of your mat. Draw the right hip forward in line with the left. Slightly draw the belly in. You may start to feel the stretch in the right hip simply by drawing the belly in. Exhale, release forward and down. Once again, block can go under, this time the right shoulder, on the right hand, and the left knee is stacked above the left ankle. It can be a little bit behind it. It can be a little forward. We just want to avoid something like this where the knee is over the toes. So if that's the case, step that left foot forward. So as you're here with your exhales, let that right hip just kind of descend forward and down a little bit more. Maybe open the chest a little bit more. And let's begin to just push back and away with the upper body, still letting the lower half come forward. Breathing. Keeping the hips squared off so both hip pointers are in alignment. Sometimes we can get this left hip forward more, so we want to pull it back in line with the right. Go ahead, inhale the arms up and back. Gaze can go forward or up, whichever feels best for you and how much opening you want for the front of the body. As you're here, you're reaching up, but try and plug the arms back down into the shoulder joints. And then on your next exhale, you're twisting to your left. Right hand goes to the left knee, left hand goes behind the back or grabs the outside of the right thigh. You're drawing and pulling that left shoulder down and back, right shoulder too, and letting your gaze go off in the direction of that left shoulder. Slowly release, coming back to center, gently push away. And move however you would like. We're going to make our way once again briefly into a down dog, pedaling the feet. And then when you're ready, kind of releasing the heels downward in towards the mat. We're going to move to Uttanasana, our forward fold. This will be a 3-minute forward fold. So props can help make this pose more comfortable. Go ahead and walk your feet towards your hands or your hands towards your feet. We're keeping the feet spread apart about hip distance. And as you're here, bend in the knees is just fine. The hands may come to touch the ground. They may hang, or you can grab your elbows and let your head hang down. You can even use your block and rest your hands on your block if you'd like that. All right, so as you're forward folded and the feet are hip distance apart, notice if the knees are turning inwards towards each other. As you look at your knees, if they are, lift the arches of your feet to direct the kneecaps in line with your second and third toes. Okay, so try to release the crown or the top of your head more downwards. Rather than forwards, we want to aim the head down. Then slightly pull the belly in to help tilt the front of the pelvis forward more and shift your weight into the front of your feet. Okay. As you're here, if it feels good, you can do just gentle nods up and down with the head as though you're nodding yes. And then let the head go still. And then nod the head no. Just side to side. You can even do little head circles in both directions.
And if the neck is bothered by any of this, just let the head stay still and hang. Try not to let the shoulders creep up towards the ears. We want to hang but find release for the neck. So we're pulling the shoulders slightly back and away from the head. Keeping the weight in the front of your feet. Your gaze is looking out back through the legs. Eyes can be closed. The breath is moving. The face is soft. You're in your last 36 seconds of this pose. We are almost done. Notice if you shift a lot of weight back into your heels, see if you can tip it forward again. If you need to shift a little left and right with the torso, just to kind of release a little more before we've finished, you can do that too. Slowly bend the knees, come back down to a seated position for a moment, letting the head readjust from having the head below the heart. And I'm going to show you how we'll set up for our next position. We're moving into frog pose. It's a real big opener for our adductors, our inner thighs. So it's really important to have good padding for your knees. One way of doing that is rolling in the side or the edges of your mat. If you need additional padding, towels or little pillows on the folded up portions of your mat will help even more. You may even want to have a block available. So I'm going to set up a couple of ways in this pose so you can see how it looks. We start by, let me get my watch ready. We start by taking our knees out to the sides, to those padded portions, okay? And then, as you're here, make sure you can comfortably hold this. You're going to open your feet out to the sides. So as you look left and right, you should be able to see your toes, okay? From here, you're going to release forward and down onto your forearms. All right, slightly engage the belly. When I say engage the belly, we want to relax in this pose, but we don't want to relax so much that we start to sag and arch the lower back. We'll start to feel tight and cramped after a while. So that's why we keep the belly slightly engaged. Okay? Now, as you're here, I'm going to show how we can use the block. You want to slowly start to guide your bottom back. You'll quickly come to your edge. Don't push past that. Just stay breathing. And if it feels good, you can release or relax your forehead on your block. Or you can just let your head hang. Notice though, if you're shrugging the shoulders at all, kind of in a self-protect mode, try and draw the shoulders back. Soften the face, release the jaw, tune into the belly, see if you need to kind of draw it back in a little bit. Then as the inner thighs release a little bit more, you can maybe push back another inch, maybe half an inch. If ever it feels too tight or straining, simply extend your bottom back forward, and usually with just like a tiny bit of movement, an inch worth, you'll feel a great amount of relief. So this is one where we really want to play our edge and completely listen to our body and not force it beyond where it is at this moment. It's very important in our poses to release out of them slowly because we've been in these sustained stretches. And if we move too quickly, it can aggravate the joints, so the muscles will want to kind of seize up. This is especially true of this pose, of our frog pose. So when it's time to come out, It's important to do it very slowly. You have 45 more seconds in this pose. All right, from here, there are a couple of ways out of this pose. You can simply slide forward onto your belly and then gently, slowly draw the legs in. Another option is to make your way back up onto your hands and feed each knee in a little bit at a time until you're back up onto all fours. Just choose the version that sounds the best to you. And just soften and release, relaxing those inner thigh muscles. And we're going to continue on. We've kind of worked the front of the hips, we've worked the inner thighs. From here, we're going to just give the hips a quick little rest break. And then we're going to work the shoulders, and then we'll move back to the outer hips. So as you lay here, we're going to do our shoulder opener. And you'll do this by laying on your belly, extending your legs straight, extending your right arm out, palm is on the floor at shoulder level. If you have any kind of shoulder issues or problems, try not to go very deeply in this pose. Feel it every step of the way. One modification is to draw the arm downwards, kind of down towards the hip. It will take a little bit of the pull out of the shoulder in this. This is a great opener for the shoulders and the chest muscles. You'll go ahead and rest your right side of your face on your mat. If you're more built up in the shoulders, you may want to rest your head on a blanket or even a block. Then from here, you're pushing away with the left hand onto the right side of the body. Draw your bottom in, create a long straight line. Release the head up and away from the shoulders. Pull the feet back so that you can't see the toes at all. And if you find that it feels a little too extreme, all you have to do is angle the hips forward, downward towards the mat a little. Or if you want to go deeper, you can angle back. Some modifications that will take you deeper into this pose is left arm can reach behind the back. Or for some people who are really flexible, that straight left arm can reach up and touch and grab the right hand. Another modification is raising your left leg up, bending the left knee, place that left foot back down on the mat directly behind the right knee. You'll notice the left knee is pointed up to the sky. So go ahead and do any and all or none of the modifications. Play with it and see what feels best to you. As you're in this pose, you're breathing, you'll start to notice the right arm will go a little bit tingly or numb. This is normal. And once again, it's very important to come out of this pose slowly. If the left arm was behind your back, bring it forward. If the left knee was bent, extend it straight. You'll roll onto your belly. Let the right arm stay still. If it helps, you can wiggle the fingers or make a little fist. Feel the blood flow in down that right arm. And then when it feels better, slowly draw it in. Okay, so from here, we're now going to move to our left side. You'll extend your left arm straight out from the shoulder, or maybe guide it down a little bit. Lay the left side of your face on the mat. Push away. Rolling onto the left side of your body, draw the hips in or forward. Make sure the feet aren't out in front of you. We want to guide them back to create a straight, long line with the body. And then, once again, if it's too intense, you're rolling the hips downwards. If you want to go deeper, you're rolling the hips back. You'll feel more pull on that left shoulder. And of course, you can do any variations at any time we're in this pose by picking up the right foot, bending the knee, and placing the foot against the back of the left knee. The right arm can also extend behind you. Feel free to close the eyes. Let the breath flow. Continually kind of assess how that left shoulder feels. You're in your last minute of this pose. If the right arm was behind your back, slowly bring it forward. If the right knee was bent, extend it straight. And then carefully roll onto your belly. Letting that left arm stay still, maybe just gently wiggling the fingers. And then when you feel the blood flow back in, draw that left arm in. And you can move however you would like. All right, so we're just going to stay laying on our back. You may want to have a strap. We're going to roll over. And now we're going to work the outsides of our hips. We're going to work the hips by moving into a pose called Supta Gomukhasana, lying cow face pose. So there are a couple different ways of doing this. We're going to start with our right leg. I usually start, and I'm going to show you different modifications too. We're going to take and cross our right knee over the top of our left knee, and you're going to bend the feet. Try not to let the heels come all the way down towards your bottom. We want the heels or the feet raised up at knee level. Okay? So the first version of this pose that is a little bit more accessible is to take your hands and thread them behind the thighs, and you're pulling the thighs in and down. Try and keep the hips at the same level on the mat. If you can go a little deeper, but can't quite reach your feet. This is where you take your strap, rest it on your feet, and you can, with your hands, grab and then pull down, okay? So this is a way of using the strap in the pose. If you can go deeper, maybe another option is grabbing the ankles and pulling down, or reaching up, grabbing the edges, outside edges of your feet, making that connection. And if you want to go deeper, you're pulling down and even forward a little bit with the feet. My toes are kind of aiming in the direction of my head. You'll notice my heels are raised up at hip level. So try not to let the heels come down, okay? You're breathing, and then as you're here, releasing, try and feel the two sides of the waist. Try to bring them into alignment so they're both the same length. Sometimes it's a little bit of shifting with the hips to find that equilibrium. Closing the eyes, let the breath take you deeper into this pose. Sometimes we really feel this pose because it can activate both hips at the same time. Though one hip will be sort of stretched a little bit more. In this case, it's with the right leg on top. It's the right hip that you may be feeling the pose a little bit more in, but it's a big pose. So let the breath help take you there. You're in your last 30 seconds of this pose. Okay, gently release the hands or the strap, wherever it may be, and uncross the legs. Feel the blood flow back into the legs, gently releasing the feet down. You can either stay still for a little bit, you can sway the knees side to side, whatever feels best to you. Everyone kind of has a natural preference. Maybe little knee circles feel good. Okay, then we're going to go to the other side. Once again, you can use your strap if you'd like. We're going to set up this time with our legs up. Left knee crosses over the top of the right. So we've got our knees kind of glued together. Then you're just bending the knees. Sometimes we need to kind of move our calf muscles or the thighs so you can press them in together. Our first version is taking our hands behind our thighs and drawing in, but being mindful of the position of our feet, keeping our feet raised up at knee level. You should feel it possibly in both hips, but definitely more in the left. If you can go deeper, you're placing your strap around the feet again and pulling down. Another option, the hands can go to the outsides of the ankles and pull down and in. Or the hands, to go even deeper, reach up to the outer edges of the feet and you're pulling forward and down. If it feels too intense, just kind of lighten the pressure on the feet with the hands and breathe. Eyes are closed, face softens. Use your exhales to let go around the hips. Notice the two sides of the waist. If one side is shortened, sometimes you're just angling the hips or shifting them a little bit to get proper alignment. Try not to relax so much that we let the feet fall. We want to keep the feet raised up. Yin yoga is great for some of our hip poses because the hip muscles can be tighter. They take longer to release. And so therefore, this is where we can get a much safer but also deeper release for the hips that can help you feel kind of lengthened and stretched, can feel much more comfortable even with like your walking stride. You are almost there. Gently relax the legs, releasing, unwrapping, letting the feet come down, staying still, or if it feels good, swaying the knees, windshield wiper left and right. From here, we're going to finish with a spinal twist. So, if the back feels achy at all, I would suggest, here's my block, taking a block or a pillow, placing it between the knees and hugging both knees into your chest. You'll roll over to your side. This helps to make the pose more comfortable for the lower back. If you want a deeper pose, you'll extend the left leg straight out on the mat and just draw the right knee into your chest. Taking an inhale, and then as you get towards the end of your next exhale, you're rolling over onto your left side, and then opening up your right arm out across from the right shoulder, palms turned up, and slowly turning your head to the right. If you need to modify, there's a couple of things you can do. If you're doing the one-legged twist, you can place your block underneath your knee to give you support. You can also change the placement of the right arm if you need to. You can rest it on the hip. You can reach it behind your head. It will take away some of the twist for the upper body if you have any issues there. You can also, if the neck is bothered, you can take the gaze up towards the ceiling or maybe even a little bit off to the left to help kind of deal with any sort of discomfort or issue around the neck area. Let this pose give you a good twist. So one that is releasing and relaxing, where it feels really kind of just soothing and not straining. You're in your last minute here. Make sure you take some nice big inhales, letting the belly expand, relaxing and releasing around the waist. As you release here, you may notice to find that you have more release and relaxation in the right shoulder area. Slowly turn your head back and make your way onto your mat, releasing the legs. You can either lengthen out straight, we're letting the two sides of the body come back into balance, or you can hug both knees into your chest. You can even rock side to side if that feels good to you. And then we'll move to our twist on the other side. Whatever you did on the first side, I would suggest doing the same thing on the next side. So you can take a block or pillow, draw both knees into the chest. This is probably the most comfortable version of a twist for the lower spine. If you want a deeper twist, the right leg will be straight, the left knee will be drawn into your chest. You'll take in a nice big inhale. Slowly release out and then roll to your right side. Then open up the left arm, palm is up, and turn your head to the left. Feel free to place a prop underneath the left knee. And once again, do any modifications that you may need to for the upper body to make the pose more comfortable. Turning the head or repositioning the left arm. Then sink into the pose, closing the eyes and breathing. Taking fuller breaths even though you're twisted around the core. Take your head back, rolling onto your spine, letting the two sides of the body move back into equilibrium. And then after that, doing any movement that feels good to you, rocking side to side to massage the lower back and the kidneys, or maybe stretching out and lengthening the body, adding a little bit of arch to the back. We'll be setting up for our Shavasana next. So as you do, go ahead and release your arms out away from your sides. Of course, feel free to grab any props before setting up into your Shavasana, to either cover the eyes with a towel or an eye pillow, to place a blanket over you for the weight, or to, if you feel like you want to be a little warmer, a bolster under the knees or anything under the head or neck. And then you're drawing your arms out away from your sides. You're spreading your feet apart on the mat. So you're kind of extending out and letting go of the tension, any tightness down the arms and the legs. The eyes are closed. Feel the skin around the eyes start to soften. Relax up into the forehead. Relax around the mouth. Feel the heart rate come down. The breath softens and lightens. You feel expansion and release all around the front of the body. And then let any last bit of tension leave through either the fingertips or the toes. Now you're moving into much more stillness and quietness for the body, for the mind. The thoughts of the mind will start to slow down. And let yourself float away.
little bit as you hear the chimes. Bring your awareness back to your body by wiggling the fingers and the toes. And then from here, roll to your right side, laying in this fetal position and expanding the breath even more. From here, push up into a comfortable forward seated position, drawing your hands together and in at your heart. Chin goes towards your chest, your eyes are closed. May this yin yoga practice leave you feeling renewed, balanced, and at peace. Thank you all for joining me again. May you be well. And as always, the divine in me bows to the divine in you. Namaste. All right, there we go. Thank you so much again for sharing this yin yoga practice. Be well, and I will see you again next time.